You must always remember that the subscriber is more important than the view. But I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy live, and I guess you know. My bad. Sometimes I think that people forget the real purpose of YouTube. YouTube is not to watch bootlegged content. I understand that if you're over in the Philippines or if you're anywhere outside the United States, you want to come here to watch HBO 24/7. But don't get mad at the people that are actually doing reviews. So for example, when you go look up a review for a movie, do you get mad at the person and say, "What? This is not the real movie"? Listen, the shit says HBO 24/7, Pacquiao versus Algieri episode 1 review. Learn how to read, learn how to process what you read. Obviously, when you look at the channel name, it doesn't say HBO. So, what I'm going to say is if you want to see the actual episode, right down below, the first link, HBO 24/7 is going to be right on that link. Real Combat Media, the website I'm associated with, along with this video, and boxing interviews and boxing footage. What I'm saying is this: I'm not just some jackleg, bootleg dude coming up here, this talking shit. There's a reason why, so just shut the fuck up and listen. It's been a rough weekend, I understand that this video was late, but realistically it's not late because it's about the quality. So you're going to get people that are going to go out there and they're going to do these videos, but yet they're looking for views. I'm not looking for views. I'm looking to get my point across. Views generate dollars. Yes, of course you have to generate revenue. Of course I'm going to make money off of the video, but that is not my intention. I'm a boxing promoter soon. Sometime within the next 6 to 8 months, I'll be a licensed boxing promoter. If you don't know, I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live, and I am a black man who's a Manuel Pacquiao fan. This guy right here, that's Chris Algieri. The WBO, well, from my understanding, he dropped the belt, 140-pound junior welterweight champion. He beat Ruslan Provodnikov. A fight where many thought he wasn't going to beat, and a fight there that there's even others that thought that he barely won. You even got some out there that say Provodnikov won. So I ask myself, how in the blue monkey, 2 bowls of stuffing hell is he going to defeat Manny Pacquiao? Emmanuel Pacquiao is not Ruslan Provodnikov. Ruslan Provodnikov, yes, is a sick freak. Yes, he's a power puncher, but he's not necessarily a pressure power puncher because he doesn't apply enough pressure. He had Chris Algieri in multiple situations, and he didn't throw enough punches. So Chris Algieri, let's say Chris Algieri during the fight, he throws 400 punches, landing with about 150, towards you got a guy like Pacquiao who's going to throw anywhere between 600 to 800 punches and land about 30 to 35% of those. So once again, it's a situation where I look at how stylistically can Chris Algieri win. He's got 8 KOs and no KOs of no one you know. But I ask myself, okay, well, does he have the power to try to keep Pacquiao off of him? Now, knockouts may not mean any. Put it this way: a knockout is a knockout. The fact that you got 8 knockouts, okay, that means you put some people down. But when you look at Timothy Bradley, who has 12 knockouts, he was hitting Pacquiao with the hardest shots of his repertoire. Timothy Bradley was going for the KO. Bad strategy, but he was going for the KO. But Pacquiao with the aggressiveness, and we're going to get to that, Pacquiao with the aggressiveness is now trying to display to Chris Algieri and the fans that now he has his hungerness back. I'm going to explain and define those terms, but what I want to say is that with those 8 KOs and with that right hand, the straight, that Chris Algieri was using against Provodnikov, how do you think that fares against Manny Pacquiao? How? You got Chris Algieri, he'll do a jab and then right hand and start to get on his bike. But then he'll sit and lay on the ropes for a little bit, try to get Pacquiao again and hit it with that right hand. Between those 2 situations, you'll get Chris Algieri maybe throwing, I'm going to say 10 punches. And then you got him landing with about 4. But then you got Pacquiao throwing about 20 punches, landing with about 10 or maybe even more. I'm just trying to say work rate. Work rate. He's going to have to put on a defensive and an offensive spectacle in Macau, China to defeat Manny Pacquiao. Now, of course, he has the height. Yes. But how many punches can he throw to play keep away? You use the height to play keep away from a guy like Manny Pacquiao. I just don't see it. Now, Pacquiao got knocked out by Juan Manuel Terminator Marquez. Pacquiao fought a timid fight against Brandon Rios, where he showed excellent foot movement, and agility and the speed, because he made sure he didn't get hit. Timothy Bradley, he's shown that he had the aggressiveness back. Aggressiveness is when you go balls to the wall. Aggressiveness is when you get to a point where you say, I don't care about my family, my life, my kids. One of us is going to get knocked out. That's what happened with Juan Manuel Marquez. He saw the blood. He saw Marquez, blood streaming all down his face, and he saw the veins popping out. He went, tried to finish Marquez off. Marquez was close to being knocked out for the first time in his career. And guess what? Aggressiveness took over. We're going to call it the aggressiveness moment. It's like that's the moment where it's like one person has initiated the aggressiveness. It's up to the other person to try to extinguish the aggressiveness. We know that Marquez was close. Marquez was close to being finished. Close to being finished. No matter how you said, he was close to being finished. He was swallowing so much blood. And then you have Pacquiao. He sensed it. And then what Marquez do? Marquez summoned up that right hand and he got Pacquiao out of there. We're going to talk about hungerness. Hungerness is when you're going out there and you're not just losing your steam. How can I put it? Let me see. Bernard Hopkins against Sergey Kovalev. He didn't show any hungerness during the fight. Before I'm talking about during in the ring, he didn't show any hungerness until the 10th round when he was trying to win and not survive as people are saying he was. So it's hard for me to see where people's logic is coming from, especially the same people that 6 months ago when the fight was announced 7 months ago, that they said, oh, this is a joke. Chris Algieri was going to just get his ass beat. Now, you got those same people. I don't know, Chris Algieri has a chance. You see how marketing works? When you got this guy on MSNBC, NBC, CNBC, you know what he's doing? They're trying to sell the fight. They're appealing to white America. That's Chris Algieri's job. It's not nothing wrong with it. That's what you do. It's Veterans Day right now, November 11th, 2014. Don't be surprised if you see Chris Algieri out there with the troops. I have his ass with the troops. So, many questions remain. And I know I'm going to be talking about HBO 24/7. I'm actually reviewing the show. And I can honestly say that All Access has won this year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty much sure we know why. Floyd, Money, Mayweather. But HBO 24/7 is an established brand. And if you did not know, I forgot the name of this guy in the comments. I said there is only one episode of HBO 24/7. Some asshole going to type in the comments section, no, actually there are 3 shows in the HBO Beyond the Lights. And no, I'm not talking about HBO 24/7. There was only one episode of HBO 24/7 for Pacquiao versus Algieri. Supposedly or allegedly, Manny Pacquiao is scheduled to make $26 million for fighting Chris Algieri. They're fighting in Macau, so the taxes are significantly lower. Remember, Manny Pacquiao is not an American. And for all you people that don't know what you're talking about, this is what bothers me the most. You don't know what you're talking about. The tax issue is over. So you would sit up here to myself, what about this? And he should have took that. You don't know what you're talking about. It's over. So, moving on. You got the fight taking place in Macau. Once again, you think Chris Algieri going to get, a win on the cards in Macau? And I'm just talking what we know as a sport of boxing. I don't want Chris Algieri to get robbed, despite what people may think. And let me tell you something, a secret about YouTube, for all you fucking dickheads out there that think that, people are out here legitimately, working, and you think it's all about. Long story short, don't you know, my videos are more popular when popular athletes or popular boxers lose. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that my channel goes sky high trending when popular boxers lose? So, of course, it would be in my best interest for Chris Algieri to win. That's probably 1 million views right there. But no, he's not supposed to, and he's not. I'm one of those type of people that I'm kind of like, I am kind of like a hypochondriac a little bit, but also I'm very superstitious and I can be very dramatic. But I want you to understand that I'm saying this like to be real. If I see somebody in a crowd and she's a family member of somebody that I'm fighting and she's in the crowd doing like extracting souls and all that, You know, and sending mumbo jumbo at you in the ring. I'm the type of guy that I would ban her from the arena. Me being a promoter, one of my boxers, I'm gonna be like, yo, we don't want her in the arena. And if she's in the arena, put that bitch in a bubble. I'm not calling his mom. I'm just saying. Like, put her ass in a bubble, or you make sure she watch that shit from the goddamn box. I don't want her nowhere near the ring, because we know she's not that powerful of a mage. But she did enough for Timothy Bradley, you know, to be, his legs just went all out. But Chris Algieri has been talking the talk, as he should. He's selling the fight. He's talking about Mayweather. He knows he'll be a superstar if he defeats Pacquiao. If you don't know, there's a rematch clause, automatic rematch clause, and they're talking about, you know, Pacquiao's not going to retire if he loses to Chris Algieri. There's a rematch clause. So, with that being said, why would there be a rematch clause? Of course, because if something like Timothy Bradley happens, you want to make sure you get your immediate rematch. Another thing I want to say is Chris Algieri is not better than Timothy Bradley. So, Timothy Bradley at one point in time, and if you still look at the fact that Andre Ward hasn't fought, Timothy Bradley was number 2 pound for pound. Or he should have been. 1 second. And I guess this is a perfect video at a perfect time to address Floyd Money Mayweather. You know, I did a video about a month ago when I said I made the decision. I said I'm not going to bash this person or that person about why the fight's not being made. I'm going to do whatever I can do and use my influence to make sure that the fight happens. Even if that's using reverse psychology and go back and join the money team again. Remember, I was money team at one point in time. And you know what Mayweather says? He says if you feel like you money team, then you money team. So I was money team. You know, easy pick. He was like, oh, word? I was like, oh, yeah, money team then. Fuck it. But when you're on the money team, you can't talk bad or say anything to discredit the great big bro Floyd Mayweather. Why? It's because if you got any money team gear, he gonna take it. You know, if he gave you a car, he gonna take that shit back. Apartment, he gonna take it. Whose fault is it that the fight's not happening? Why are you still concerned about it? You even got some ignorant garbage fans that said, man, I don't care if that fight never happens. Floyd don't need to fight him. Floyd shouldn't fight him. The ignorance in that is like, how are you condoning this? And Floyd Mayweather has shown us that he doesn't really, he's not loyal to anyone. You know, look at poor old Stephen A. Smith. He threw him straight under the wheels of the bus. You know, that was a train. He threw him under the train. But you have to look at the money that's involved. You have to look outside of boxing, and you have to really, really be smart and think, well, do those Showtime executives, do those HBO executives, does Bob Arum and Al Heyman, do they really, really not want to make this fight with all the money that's involved? Boxers have a shelf life. Floyd Mayweather's not going to be around. Even if he doesn't retire and he comes back, he's not going to be around the next 8 years, 7 years. There's no one to replace him yet. There's no one to replace Pacquiao yet. Say what you want. They're number 1 and number 2. And then you got Miguel Cotto. And I'm talking about headliners of pay-per-views. Because this is where I have to dumb myself down for fans and subscribers that sit there and wait for me to make some type of mistake. And they're like, no, listen. Headliners. Floyd Mayweather headlines his pay-per-views. Manny Pacquiao headlines his pay-per-views. So when Floyd Mayweather fought Saul Canelo Alvarez, Floyd was the headliner. Manny Pacquiao fought Timothy Bradley, the headliner. That means they come out last. That means their names are said first. Even though Pacquiao did with Timothy Bradley. But what I'm saying is he's selling the fight. They're the ones that are selling the fight. So, number 1, Floyd Mayweather. Number 2, Manny Pacquiao. Number 3, Miguel Cotto and Saul Canelo Alvarez are tied. Miguel Cotto only has about 2 more fights left. Saul Canelo Alvarez, you know, he's going to be fighting on pay-per-view sometime in 2015, maybe 2 pay-per-views after his 1 official HBO regular television debut is over. And you think, well, who is the future of pay-per-view when Floyd Mayweather's gone and when Manny Pacquiao's gone? So once again, that's more for me to believe like, yo, like they're going to make this fight happen. Because for it not to happen would be just a disrespect to the fans. And let me address this, because, like I said this in a video like a year ago. I haven't said it recently, but a lot of these videos, the subscribers you guys help me with, or the people who watch these videos, because y'all say stuff and I really go down through all my comments every day, and I really figure out, I really see like what you guys are talking about, you know, things like that. So as it stands right now, it seems as though that I'm pro Bob Arum. I wouldn't say that I'm pro Bob Arum. I'm pro boxing. Why? Because just so happened Bob Arum has provided the best fights this year. If I'm so pro Bob Arum, go watch the video I did after Pacquiao was robbed by Timothy Bradley. That'll show you how fucking pro Bob Arum I am. So what I'm saying is that I've had some time to look at Bob Arum's methods, and I've had some time to analyze like Top Rank versus other promotional companies. For example, this is something I found out. I went to Hopkins versus Kovalev. It's an HBO event. What I've learned is that Golden Boy events, you know, we're talking about press conferences, build up, all that stuff to the fights, is somewhat less organized. But I've heard from multiple people, and people who've been there, I'm sure, you know, that Top Rank events, they take care of the media, and they're highly organized. So when I see Bob Arum and I think, okay, what is his part in the fight not happening? I see an old man. And I'm not saying this to be disrespectful. I want you, if you're blessed to have your grandparents in your life, just watch them. You know, just watch like the shit they get mad over. The shit that annoys them. You know, like they'll start their day, they'll go get the paper. You know, they'll get there, they open the door, and they'll see that the paper is outside of the screen door. And they'll just snap out like, God damn it, I told him to put it in between the door every time, and he never does it. That's how old people be. You know, my grandparents, my grandfather, at one point in time, if you opened up more, like it'd be like 7 boxes of cereal up there. Like 2 boxes of Special K, 2 boxes of plain ass cornflakes. And then, you know, you got the sugary syrups. But if that one plain ass box of cornflakes or Raisin Bran is open, Raisin Bran Crunches, what do you like? If that Raisin Bran Crunch is open, and then you go like, oh shit, let me open up those Apple Jacks. I'm going to hear it like, God damn it. You can put the sugar in the Raisin Bran. You see, like, oh, people saw, I picture Bob Arum, you know, like in the room, you know, and Alex Reese said this himself. Not what I'm going to say after this, but, you know, you'll have Michael Kuntz, you have Bob Arum, and then you have Richard Schaefer, and then you have Al Haven. So when you look at, you know, you got Bob Arum, you know, he's old, you know, so he wants things to be his way, and he's sitting there and he's like, no, I understand. This is the way it's always been, and we should do it that way. And then you got Richard Schaefer, like, I'm not dealing with this shit. You know, I can understand all that. But then that's when you need a buffer, Todd the Buffer. That's when you need Oscar De La Hoya. A lot of people don't know, but I found out. In fact, go find it on Fight Hype. Oscar De La Hoya has a lot more fighters than you think. So he is tied to Al Heyman in so many different ways. He can block any fight because he's the manager. But there are fighters actually signed to Golden Boy Promotions. Deontay Wilder, Jamal Charlo, the brothers Charlo. You know, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Amir Khan. So I see what he's trying to do. Richard Schaefer is gone. I see what he's trying to do. But Bob Arum is old. You know, they have to think like, okay, all right, we're not going to let somebody's got to bow down and look at the fact that Bob Arum's like 100. So somebody's got to think like, okay, all right, well, this is old ass man. You know, he's been doing this shit since Foreman Ali. You know, so we got to make sure, you know, that we're all on the same page. People want to root out Bob Arum to be the villain and all that. Yes, sometimes he does do some grimy shit. So when you look at the Mikey Garcia situation, people are like, oh, he's robbing him, having him an indefinite contract. It's over. The Pacquiao tag situation is over. The Timothy Bradley situation is over. The Chavez Jr. situation, still developing, because Chavez Jr. technically owes them one fight. Chavez Jr. was upset because he didn't know how much Top Rank was actually making from his bouts. And to be honest with you, and this is my personal opinion, I'm a huge Chavez Jr. fan, I think $2.2 million was enough for him to fight GGG. $2.2 million You got Laura getting $1 million. When you got Marcos McDonough getting 1.5. You know, when you got Robert Guerrero getting $1 million. You know, and the list goes on. Alvarez got 1.5. B-Hop got $1 million. You know, and the list goes on. So I'm thinking 2.2 million to fight GGG without a contract extension on pay-per-view. Granted, Chavez Jr. name is a little big, but Chavez Jr. fighting a guy like GGG, I'm thinking no more than 500,000, maybe just 400,000 pay-per-view buys. So you got to start doing the math. I had some guy that really, who math was totally fucked up. In one of the comments, I forgot which one it was, what video it was, but he was talking, okay, well, no, this was about Chavez. He was talking about Aaron. He was like, okay, well, you know, 400,000 pay-per-view buys is like $28 million. His math was fucked up. So then I'm thinking to myself, okay, all right. So the promotional companies are not supposed to make any money. The network's not supposed to get any money. I mean, what about taxes? What about the managers, you know? All I say is, like, a lot of you fans, you need to do a lot more research. Bob Arum, yes, a lot of his methods are old. Do I actually think he's robbing fighters? No. People say, why is fighters always suing him? Who? And if you really think about it, who leaves Top Rank? Really? I know Andre Ward tried to go to Top Rank. Luis Arias, he was just with Top Rank. Robert Guerrero tried to go to Top Rank. You got guys like Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia who would love to fight a Timothy Bradley. You got a Marcos McDonough who would love to fight a Manny Pacquiao, but guess what? He can't. Why? Hate him. So we can sit here and point fingers about this fight not happening, this fight not happening. I said it in multiple videos and I'll say it again. Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather has to happen. And until that fight happens, we can't get all the underling fights. We can't get, you know, a Marcos McDonough or Keith Thurman versus a Timothy Bradley. You know, or Rios versus, you know, let me see, good matchup. I'll finally make that Rios versus Broner, even though one's at 140, 147, and Rios probably most likely can't make 140 anymore. The point I'm trying to make is you can't make all those other underling fights without making the big one first, because that's going to create some type of paradox where you're like, well, why didn't this fight, you know? I'm T-Street Controversies. It's T-Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. I cover every single episode on 24/7, whether live or late, all access. And I tell you what, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go and watch. There's other people that review this show. And I want you to go and watch them. And I want you to ask yourself, is this really genuine? T-Street Controversy Live.